The Young and the Restless spoilers. Friday's update. Full April 4, 2025. Martin's declaration sent shockwaves through Genoa. In a terse, impassioned statement, he vowed that he would return, no matter the cost, and that he must succeed in marrying Tracy. According to him, his love had grown so fierce and all-consuming that nothing could stand in its way. It was as if he believed that destiny itself had ordained their union. Yet, whispers of doubt rippled through the community. Martin, notorious for his ruthless nature and cruelty, had never been one to offer sincere apologies or admit fault. Many found it hard to believe that he could ever come back to Genoa and approach anyone with remorse. Tracy, for her part, found herself ensnared in a labyrinth of conflicting emotions. She had long searched for Martin each day. Her hope was renewed only to be crushed by the painful silence that had replaced his presence. Their connection had been a bitter mix of passion, betrayal, and raw vulnerability. Now, with Martin's declaration echoing in the minds of those who knew his reputation, Tracy was left wondering whether his words were a genuine promise of change or merely another manipulative tactic. Every night, as she retraced the steps of their shared past through deserted alleys and the forgotten corners of Genoa, Tracy clung to a fragile hope that Martin's return might offer her a chance for resolution. Yet deep down, she feared that their long-lost connection had dissolved into a chasm too wide to bridge. Meanwhile, in a seemingly separate corner of this intricate drama, Sally and Adam found solace in one another's company. Their clandestine meetings provided brief escapes from the turmoil that had come to define their lives. For Sally, however, the comfort of Adam's presence was tarnished by a bitter regret. She had watched in silent agony as Chelsea and Adam had reunited. A union that threatened to upend everything Sally had schemed to control. The reunification of Chelsea and Adam was like a dagger to Sally's ambitions, and it ignited a series of calculated maneuvers. With a cold determination that bordered on the ruthless, Sally began orchestrating subtle yet devious tactics aimed at sabotaging their burgeoning relationship. Her machinations were as intricate as they were merciless. Sally would plant seeds of discord whenever the opportunity arose, subtly twisting conversations and insinuating doubts where none existed. It was as if she derived a twisted pleasure from watching the bonds of love and trust disintegrate before her eyes. In her eyes, nothing was sacred, not even the feelings of those closest to her. Her heart, long since hardened by betrayal and envy, knew no bounds when it came to exacting revenge. Even more alarming was her apparent disregard for the emotions of others. Billy, who had always been a beacon of hope in the chaos of their lives, seemed to be just another pawn in Sally's relentless pursuit of control. And then there was Connor. The young boy had found a rare taste of happiness amid the turbulent family dynamics. His laughter and innocent joy were a testament to the possibility of redemption in a world otherwise marred by cruelty. Yet, Sally could not abide by the sight of his unburdened bliss. Convinced that the boy's happiness was an affront to the natural order of her carefully orchestrated chaos, she resolved that Connor must not be allowed to remain in his state of unmitigated joy. In her mind, true satisfaction could only be achieved if he, too, experienced a measure of the pain that seemed to validate her own existence. Whether it was through subtle manipulations or overt acts of sabotage, Sally made it her mission to ensure that the boy's world would soon darken with sorrow. Back in the heart of Genoa, the tension was palpable. Martin's bold promise hung in the air like an ominous cloud. Some speculated that perhaps, against all odds, he might return, not with a contrite apology and admission of past misdeeds, but with a renewed determination to reclaim his twisted idea of love. His proclaimed intention to wed Tracy was a double-edged sword. While it might suggest a desire to atone for past transgressions, it was also a clear signal that his inner darkness remained unchallenged. Martin's notorious cruelty was not easily forgotten, and his reputation as a heartless, manipulative force was etched into the memories of everyone who had crossed his path. Many wondered if his love for Tracy was anything more than a means to control and dominate, rather than a genuine longing for connection. Tracy's ceaseless search for Martin became an obsession. Every clue, every whispered rumor led her deeper into the underbelly of Genoa's secrets. The city's labyrinthine streets and abandoned warehouses served as a stark reminder of the love that had once united them, a love now obscured by deceit and a trail of broken promises. With every passing day, her determination grew, even as the uncertainty of his whereabouts gnawed at her resolve. Tracy knew that if Martin were to reappear, it would be under circumstances as unpredictable as the man himself. And if he did come back, would he be the man who could be forgiven, or would his return unleash further turmoil and pain? Amid the swirling emotions and shifting alliances, the lives of those entangled in this saga moved in parallel yet diverging paths. Sally's unyielding scheming and Adam's conflicted affections added layers of complexity to the drama. Chelsea, caught in the crossfire of loyalties and betrayals, stood as a silent witness to the destructive power of envy and ambition. Billy, whose gentle nature belied the storm raging around him, found himself increasingly isolated by the machinations of a woman who cared little for his feelings. And young Connor, with his fragile bubble of happiness, was unknowingly at risk of being consumed by the vengeful designs of someone whose cruelty knew no bounds. As the days turned into weeks, rumors began to circulate, murmurs of a man spotted at the edge of Genoa, of shadowy figures gathering in secret meeting places, and of a storm on the horizon that promised to upend every carefully constructed plan. Martin's impending return became the subject of hushed conversations in dimly lit rooms, each person weighing the possibility of reconciliation against the certainty of further betrayal. The community braced itself for what could be a dramatic reckoning, a confrontation that would force each character to confront their own demons. Could Martin, the embodiment of cruelty and unrepentant ambition, possibly evolve into a man capable of apology? Or was his love for Tracy nothing more than a ploy to reclaim lost power and assert control over those who had once dared to defy him? Tracy's heart, scarred by years of heartache, longed for the truth. Yet she also feared the cost of pursuing it. With every step she took in her relentless search, she risked exposing herself to dangers far beyond what she could have imagined. In this tumultuous landscape, every interaction carried the weight of destiny. Martin's promise to return to Genoa and force his way into Tracy's life, by marrying her at any cost, was a threat that loomed large over them all. Tracy, determined yet vulnerable, continued her quest for answers, hoping that the truth would eventually set her free. Meanwhile, Sally's ruthless interference in the lives of those around her threatened to unravel any semblance of hope for reconciliation. Her machinations were a stark reminder that in a world where loyalty was scarce and ambition ran rampant, even the purest of hearts could be shattered. The stage was set for an explosive reunion, a collision of love, deceit, and raw emotion that promised to redefine the relationships among these intertwined souls. As Genoa waited with bated breath for Martin's return, the fate of every character hung in the balance. In the end, only time would reveal whether Martin's so-called love was a redemptive force or merely another chapter in a saga defined by betrayal and unyielding cruelty. And as the city's inhabitants braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation, one truth remained certain: in the dangerous game they played, no one was ever truly safe from the consequences of their actions. Aristotle Dumas was no ordinary magnate, he was a shadowy force in the world of high-stakes deals and ruthless power plays. Rumored to have built his fortune on a blend of cunning investments and under-the-table maneuvers, Aristotle had long been known as someone who played the game of business with no moral boundaries. His latest move, targeting Billy with a massive contract, was as unexpected as it was disconcerting. According to insiders, Aristotle's interest in Billy wasn't born out of admiration alone. Billy had been making waves with his own burgeoning success, drawing the attention of competitors and allies alike. For Aristotle, this presented an irresistible opportunity. Billy was a rising star, someone whose talents could be harnessed for even grander schemes. Signing that lucrative contract wasn't just a business deal, it was a calculated attempt to bind Billy to Aristotle's empire, ensuring that every triumph or failure would eventually serve Aristotle's own agenda. Jack, however, was deeply skeptical. From his perspective, the contract was less a generous offer and more an elaborate trap. He believed Aristotle's proposal was designed to sideline Billy's independence, effectively turning him into a puppet whose strings could be pulled at any moment. Jack's distrust wasn't baseless. Past experiences and the murky history of these power struggles had taught him that when Aristotle Dumas appeared on the scene, ulterior motives were always at play. "This is nothing but a setup," Jack argued, warning that the deal might come with hidden clauses and crushing obligations that could ruin Billy in the long run. For Billy, the situation was entirely different. He saw Jack's persistent warnings as a manifestation of jealousy, a bitter resentment rooted in past failures and missed opportunities. In Billy's eyes, Jack had always been envious of his successes, and now he was trying to sabotage Billy's rise by painting Aristotle as the villain. Billy maintained that his achievements were hard-won and deserved to be celebrated, not undermined by the bitter grudges of someone who simply couldn't cope with his own shortcomings. "Jack just can't stand the fact that I'm finally getting what I deserve," Billy would later insist, dismissing Jack's concerns as petty and self-serving. The tension between Jack and Billy wasn't a new development. It was the culmination of years of unresolved conflict and mistakes that had left deep scars on both of them. Their past was littered with betrayals and miscommunications, a history that had eroded any remnants of trust between them. Some believed that their mutual disdain was the product of clashing ambitions and a series of missteps that neither could forgive. Their personal feud had grown to symbolize the larger struggle between those who wielded power with calculated precision and those who fought to preserve their independence and integrity. Adding to the complexity of the situation was a chilling warning from Victor, a name synonymous with the underbelly of their world. Victor had once cautioned that Aristotle Dumas was not to be trusted, describing him as a monster capable of devastating betrayal. According to Victor, Aristotle's monstrous reputation wasn't just a matter of ruthless business tactics, it was a warning sign of the lengths he would go to in order to consolidate his power. Whether it was through intimidation, manipulation, or outright violence, Aristotle was a force that left a trail of broken lives in his wake. For many in their circle, Victor's words resonated with grim truth. Aristotle's reputation had been built on a series of audacious moves that often left collateral damage in the pursuit of his vision. The warning served as a stark reminder that aligning with him could mean stepping into a quagmire of ethical compromises and unforeseen consequences. Even as Billy entertained the prospect of a life-changing contract, the shadow of Aristotle's notorious methods loomed large, casting doubt over whether any deal with him could ever be truly beneficial. So, what exactly did Aristotle hope to gain from his interest in Billy? On the surface, the contract appeared to offer a win-win situation. Billy would receive the financial backing and influential connections he needed to escalate his career, while Aristotle would gain a powerful new asset to further his own empire. But beneath this veneer of mutual benefit lay a web of manipulation. Aristotle's ultimate goal seemed to be more about control than collaboration. By tying Billy into his network, Aristotle could dictate the terms of Billy's success, ensuring that every move was in his own favor. In essence, Billy's triumphs would serve as stepping stones for Aristotle's larger ambitions. Whether that meant expanding into new markets, crushing rival enterprises, or even orchestrating more sinister schemes. Meanwhile, the personal fallout between Jack and Billy continued to escalate. Their constant bickering and mutual accusations only deepened the rift between them. Jack's insistence that Aristotle's contract was a trap clashed with Billy's stubborn belief in his own potential. Each man's perspective was colored by their own experiences. Jack, scarred by past miscalculations and betrayals, saw every seemingly generous offer as a potential ambush, while Billy, driven by his hunger for recognition and success, was willing to overlook any red flags in his pursuit of greatness. The question of how Jack and Billy could ever repair their fractured relationship loomed ominously over the group. Both were haunted by mistakes that had festered over time, each misstep contributing to an ever-widening chasm between them. Their inability to reconcile wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was emblematic of the high stakes involved in their dangerous world. When ambitions run high and trust is in short supply, the cost of discord can be immeasurable. The deep-seated animosity that fueled their feud not only endangered their own futures but also threatened to destabilize the intricate network of alliances that had been painstakingly built over the years. As this drama unfolded, one thing remained clear. In a realm where power, money, and ambition were interwoven with betrayal and revenge, the line between friend and foe was often blurred. Aristotle Dumas's emergence had only intensified these dynamics, setting the stage for a confrontation that could shake the very foundations of their world. With every decision and every deal, the characters were forced to confront their own vulnerabilities and the dark truths hidden within their pasts. In the end, whether Aristotle's monstrous nature would ultimately be confirmed by his actions, or whether the rift between Jack and Billy could ever be mended, remained an open question. What was certain, however, was that in this treacherous game of ambition and deception, every move came at a steep price. And as the players navigated a landscape fraught with danger, one truth stood out: trust, once shattered, was a prize that could rarely be reclaimed without risking everything.